my children. Everyone who is here. He's being indoctrinated with Marxism. I will let my 30 seconds lapse. Let's think about it for a second. I'm not coming. You laid the groundwork for Marxism. My name is Jason Silva, and I'm running for the board.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Our next speaker is Susie Ferrick. Good evening, Ms. Ferrick.
To all members of the school board, thank you for your volunteerism and dedication to our schools. I'm a realtor in the community and mother of four, three of whom graduated from Liberty. Our youngest has been a D20 student since kindergarten, is now a freshman. On October 2008, our perfectly healthy daughter was diagnosed with ALL leukemia. Within hours, we learned she would endure arterial hypertension. She spent weeks in the hospital, received multiple blood transfusions.
It's just your outfit. Yeah.
Her absolute visual infection would be at an all-time low for 2 weeks every month. In that 2.5 years, we never once quarantined or masked our boys or stopped their lives. Our boys still went to school, played sports, and hung out with friends. We had visitors at the hospital and home, and absolutely no one wore masks. Not once did the medical staff mask us for blood transfusions, port changes, chemo drips, doctor visits, blood draws, or anesthesia. From 13 months to 3.5, she was not allowed to receive a single childhood vaccine because it was too dangerous for her immune system. Guess what? She never caught measles, chickenpox, polio, or any other communicable disease that vaccines claim to protect us from. You can't tell me or my family vaccines or quarantines work. This child that survived 2.5 years in quarantine 2 out of 4 weeks and has not been sick. On Monday, August 30th, she and other students were dismissed from the classroom by staff, told to stand at the flagpole for parental pickup because they were identified as someone who was in close contact to a probable COVID case. Parents were notified by email only. We later received an email from Michael Sibley stating your child must follow quarantine instructions. She was to stay home for 10 days unless she proved that she was vaccinated. This is a 14-year-old. The only education she's received when quarantine is a daily folder with homework instructions, absolutely no teaching. I emailed Mr. Sibley, Mr. Tom Gregory, and Mr. Alan Tibbett to please provide me in writing who gave them the legal authority to not only dismiss my child from school, but also quarantine my healthy child for pretending her right to a free public education. These 3 men answered my question or provided me a letter writer. On September 13th, she was quarantined again. It's time to do what's right for the children. This is the United States of
Thank you, Mrs. Ferrick. Thank you. Our next Good evening, Mr. Sullivan.
Oh, good evening, Board. Thank you so much for the time to be able to come and discuss these things with you. I appreciate the time that you guys put into serving here. I wanted to talk briefly about the execution of the quarantine policy that you guys are holding to right now. I'm not going to discuss the policy per se, the efficacy of it. What I want to do is say right now with the quarantine policy, when there is a positive case, the policy that you guys are following right now is to quarantine contact to that individual. What I would like to say is that I've had several parents in the community reach out to me because their kids are being unjustly quarantined from this. Because what's going on is that the school nurse is saying that it is too difficult and complicated and time-consuming to go through and actually contact trace who was in close contact. And so they're quarantining entire classes instead of just the close contacts that are there. And so what the result is that we are keeping kids out of school out of convenience for the staff and for the nurses. And I get that they're willing to help with contact tracing. And so I would just ask that you use the resources that are available to actually perform contact tracing, follow the policies that you have so we can keep kids in school. They're educating students, and I just want to make sure that each kid has that opportunity and that they're not subject to convenience quarantines, but they're actually meeting the definition of close contact. So, Aaron Salt, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Salt.
Our next speaker is Jenna Reichelt.
Good evening, sir.
Thank the board for letting me speak tonight. My name is Dr. Jenna Reichelt, and I'm a family physician and D20 parent. I take care of many D20 students, parents, and employees, and it is my job to keep everyone in our community safe and healthy. I am urging the board and Mr. Gregory to implement universal masking immediately. 1 month into the school year, our COVID case numbers are half of what they were for all of last year. It is unfortunate that this pandemic has been politicized by so many. This is a public health matter, not a political one. The AAP, CDC, CDPHE, and El Paso County Health are all recommending masks for everyone engaged in schools. Why is D20 not following these guidelines when 78% of Colorado schools have universal masking in place? No one is asking you to become a public health expert, but we are asking you to follow the recommendations laid out by those experts. You do not need to be forced by the health department to do the right thing. When you have diabetes, you trust your PCPs to give you recommendations based on their years of schooling and experience. How is this any different? Some people think masks are contributing to the increase in mental health visits and are detrimental to the health of our children. This is completely false. However, there is danger in repeated and prolonged quarantines. While quarantine, a student puts out on socialization and live instruction, which can result in an increase in symptoms of depression and anxiety. I care for multiple adolescents suffering from significant new symptoms due to this pandemic, and it is heartbreaking. I think everyone can agree, we want our children in school, we want them to achieve, and we want them to be healthy. Masks are one way to achieve this. Based on the current CDC recommendations for children under age 12, if a child tests positive for COVID and both that child and the exposed children are masked, then the exposed children do not need to quarantine. This is a surefire way to keep our children in school. Standardized test scores during the previous school year. This does not improve if small sections of classes are quarantined at a time with little to no live teaching. Our students will be at a huge disadvantage compared to those who are in the classroom more. Furthermore, how are working parents supposed to teach their quarantined children and work simultaneously? How are our economically disadvantaged children supposed to thrive if they have no one at home to teach them because their parents cannot call off of work? How are children who have an IEP or require intervention supposed to thrive with intermittent quarantines? If the school district is truly committed to diversity and inclusion, then it is imperative to think about the students who are the least privileged and have the most to lose by being out of the classroom. I encourage you to show this community that you are committed to the success of all students. If we remain on the current path, I feel we will continue to lose excellent teachers and other staff, future funds to grow and improve our facilities, and finally our reputation as a leader in the state. I encourage the district leaders to look at the experts when it comes to COVID. The science and the recommendations are there, and immediately.
Thank you, Dr. Reichelt.
Our next speaker is Jennifer LaRue.
All of that.
Good evening, Ms. Lewis.
Thank you for your time. As a former debater, 3 minutes feels like forever to me. But as a former debater, I've also read a lot of communist and Marxist theory. I've also read a lot of Kant and Rousseau and studied social contract quite a bit. And that's part of why I'm here tonight, because I do think it's important that our kids are in school. I volunteer as a peer coordinator and offset. And we see our numbers jump and fall based on if kids are in school or not school because we don't have mandatory reporters looking out for kids. And we see how those kids fall through the cracks. But the other thing that I would like to talk to you about today is specifically an experience I had this week. Mr. LaValle and I happened to be at the same tour of a school, and unfortunately, he's busy and had to go. I'm an out-of-work jury consultant, so I was able to stay longer. But what we saw afterwards was we were able to meet with some of the teachers, and we were able to ask the teachers questions. And the question I posed to the teachers was, if there was one thing we could do other than pay you better, what would it be that we could do to help you right now? And an interesting twist, because this is not what I saw coming. I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. But one of the teachers stepped forward and he said, ironically, I'm not wearing a mask as I said this, but the best thing you could do is we could have a mask mandate. Because the lack of a mask mandate is adversely affecting our kids. And the other teachers seem to universally agree. I would not want to speak to them, but there were more than 5 or 6 head nods out of that group of 6 or 7 teachers. And his reasoning, which seemed to resonate with the entire group, was when we're not wearing masks, we have these quarantines. And what are we hearing the problems are tonight? I think we all say we want our kids in school. We want to see the kids healthy and doing as well in school as they can. We want to see our kids thrive. Some people feel differently about wearing a mask and that it may adversely affect their child. Volunteering last year in a school where I was one of a few volunteers across the district, I can tell you I didn't personally notice anything that was adversely affecting the children. As a matter of fact, they all seem to be those troopers about keeping their masks up, reminding each other, and doing great with it. And we saw the numbers worked. We saw the masks worked. As a school district that teaches science, it's critical that we follow the experts. We know that masks work, and we need to support our kids and teachers. And whether you agree with masks or not, whether you want to vaccinate, the best way to keep our kids in school right now is to put masks on them. It reduces the quarantines. It means that child that was in a classroom with somebody doesn't have to quarantine because they both had masks on. The best thing we can do for our kids right now is enact a mask mandate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Our next speaker is Jahara Matisik. Good evening, Mr. Matisik.
Hi, I'm Jahar Matisik, associate professor at the Enforcement. Sort of one in 100 Americans have now died from COVID, and it will keep getting worse until everyone gets vaccinated. Just like everyone in this room probably got their smallpox vaccine as a kid. Now, here's compared to reality. Almost 80% of eligible people in Denver are vaccinated, whereas just over 60% of people in El Paso County are vaccinated. And guess what? Despite Denver being much bigger than Colorado Springs, they're having under 100 COVID cases a day, whereas Colorado Springs is having almost 300 cases a day. So it's almost double. Denver Metro Schools also have a mask mandate. And unsurprisingly, as many of us pro-science advocates have said, COVID is going to get worse, we didn't have a mask mandate, and now El Paso literally leads the state in the most COVID school outbreaks. Now, I keep hearing D20 school board members and unmasked people preach educating kids is always our number one priority. Well, here's your natural consequence. Anti-maskers and science deniers push their agenda, and now less than 2 months in, we are failing to educate our students due to infections and quarantines. Let me also re-emphasize again that many people continue to be propagating Chinese and Russian disinformation about COVID-19, leading to way too many American deaths when peer-reviewed articles keep showing that vaccines and masking is effective. Any evidence to the contrary comes from Chinese and Russian propaganda, pushing false narratives on unsuspecting Americans to believe that their freedoms are being taken away. Moving on to another important point is the people of D20 that engage in fascist attacks against those of us that believe in the importance of diversity, equality, and inclusion. As you know, the U.S. military promotes all of these important DEI values. In fact, I make it part of my pedagogical approach when I teach cadets because so much research shows that American military power and effectiveness is dependent upon diversity across the spectrum. There is tremendous value in promoting a safe and welcoming environment, and there should be zero tolerance in D20 for those that bully and harass someone just because they look or act different. Much of D20 seems to artificially care about diversity, equality, and inclusion, with some appearing to push right-wing propaganda talking points that only reinforce the toxic white male patriarchy. The ancient Rome Cicero, whose writings were most influential in the 18th century Enlightenment period, once said, "Salus populi suprema lex esse." The health of the people should be the supreme law. Since some schools like COVID, all I can say is this: please get vaccinated, stay masked and safe, and please make sure you do anything with the DEI in our educational classes. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Annie Davis.
Good evening, Ms. Davis.
Good evening. D20 wants to premiere as the district that teaches